Okay, let's get started. Good morning, everyone. So, I'm Alex.
I'm Prasad.
And we both work as solution architects here at AWS. I'm based in Stockholm, Sweden.
I'm based in London, UK.
And today we'll talk how you can build your AI-enriched applications using .NET.
Before diving deep into the subject, let's understand the importance of artificial intelligence and machine learning. According to IDC, by 2025, global spending on artificial intelligence will reach $204 billion. And as per Gartner, by the end of 2024, 75% of the enterprises will shift from piloting to operationalizing AI. So, what it means for developers like us is that building applications with AI/ML capabilities is a skill that we all should be possessing. And organizations should be looking into AI/ML if they have not done it yet. Now, our mission at AWS is to take the rich experience and expertise that we have gained over the years working with machine learning at Amazon and put it in the hands of every developer. Said another way, we want to simplify machine learning. We want to make it easy for developers to build intelligent applications. Now, we think of machine learning in 3 layers. And at each layer, we are democratizing AI so that your teams can move faster with adopting AI/ML. Starting at the bottom layer, this is for ML practitioners who are comfortable working on the frameworks of their choice, like MXNet, PyTorch, TensorFlow. This is for ML experts who are comfortable building, tuning, training, deploying machine learning models themselves, working at the framework and the chip layer. Then we have Amazon SageMaker at the middle layer. Amazon SageMaker makes it easy and removes complexity at every step of the machine learning workflow, so that the developers and data scientists can build, tune, train, and deploy machine learning models at scale. And at the top, we have AI services, both specialized and core. It makes it easy for developers to build intelligent applications without needing the ML skills. The pre-trained models provide ready intelligence that can be integrated into your applications and workflows. And today, through the series of demos, we will see how easy it is to integrate these AI services into your .NET applications using SDKs and APIs. With that, Alex will talk about programmable SDK.
Yeah, so there are multiple ways on how you can interact with AWS services. So you can do everything manually using AWS console. You can use web APIs. You can use CLI, our command line interface. Or as a developer, you would probably use SDK, software development kits. And we have SDKs available for many languages, like Python, Java, JavaScript, and of course .NET. And what SDK does, it hides all the complexity of interacting with web APIs. So you just write your language-specific code, classes, and SDK does the rest. And when we talk about SDK for .NET, as you would expect, it's distributed using NuGet packages. It gives you programmatic access to all AWS services, including AI services, which we're going to talk about today in demo. And also, SDK, it abstracts away how you interact with AWS services. So you don't need to know what kind of payload the service is expecting, like is it XML payload or JSON payload. You don't need to know how to pass parameters to the service, either through request body or through headers or in other way. Also, you don't need to know how to sign requests. So everything is done by SDK itself under the hood. So you just write plain C# classes, use typed objects, and SDK does the rest. And there is a very consistent coding pattern when you use SDK and AWS services using SDK. And so first you add NuGet package, and then you import appropriate namespaces. And these are very consistent and predictable, so you can see it by name. Next, you instantiate the client object. And optionally, you can pass parameters like credentials or region information. When you construct the request, so you create a request object, and again, it's typed object. You get all the help from your development environment like IntelliSense, autocomplete. So you create a request, and you call the operation on a service method of a client. And then you get a response back. And then it's up to you as a developer to how you treat this response. Maybe you display something to user, maybe you do some further processing. You get the result. And again, like I want to repeat that SDK, it abstracts away all the mechanics, how you interact with AWS services. So you don't need to know what payload the services use in XML or JSON. You just use rich .NET object types, and SDK does the serialization and deserialization. And you don't need to deal with request signing. And there is like consistent coding pattern, and you will see this coding pattern when we are going to demo AI services today.
Cool. So the first AI service that we are going to look into today is Amazon Comprehend. It's a fully managed and continuously trained AI service that discovers insights and relationships in text. And it provides the pre-trained models that developers can use to extract insights from the text. So when you collect all this text that you need to analyze and put it through Comprehend, it is able to extract the entities such as event, brand, people, place. It is able to identify personally identifiable information from the text and gives you the option to either mask it or redact it. It can identify the language of the text, extract key phrases from the text, or even classify the documents based on the topic. Let's have a look through few demos. Alex?
Yes, so let's switch to a first demo. So what I have here, it's a standard ASP.NET 6 application, and I'm using JetBrains Rider as my development environment. So first I will show the demo, and then I will show the code, how it looks like, how it works. So first, let's see how Comprehend can extract entities from a text. And here I have an example about Adam Salipsky, our CEO. So let's see what kind of entities Comprehend will extract from this piece of text. So I'm calling the detect entities API, and we see the response back. So that Adam Salipsky is a person with confidence over 99%. Amazon Web Services is an organization, AWS is an organization as well. Then we have a date period from 2005 to 2016. Then we have some quantity like multi-billion dollar and so on. So these are the entities which were automatically extracted by Comprehend from this piece of text. And again, it's up to you as a developer how you treat these results. So probably you will get, some additional information. You will add maybe some hyperlinks to some information based on what is extracted. And how it looks like from a code perspective. So there are 4 things you need to do when you interact with AWS services using SDK. So first you add NuGet package, and I already imported the NuGet package for Comprehend. So if I go to packages, I see this, I already added AWS SDK Comprehend package. Then you need to register this service in your DI container, and we have helper method called @AWS service. So what I'm doing here, just registering this service in my DI container, @AWS service, and then Amazon Comprehend. Then I need to inject this service into the constructor of my form. Again, so this is my web page, and I'm just injecting this Comprehend client. And now I can work with service operations of this client. So this is the method to detect entities. So first I construct the request, detect entities request, and again this is .NET object with all the IntelliSense, with all the help from my development environment, and I'm providing 2 properties. So one is the text which I want to analyze, and the second one is the language code in what language is this text. And then I'm calling the service operation on the Comprehend client, and this is detect entities method, providing the request, getting the response back, and when response it has collection of entities which were detected, and I'm just displaying them to a screen. So you see few lines of code which give you the ability to extract the entities from the text. Another example I want to show is how Comprehend can detect personal identifiable information from the text. So again, I have an example of a contact form. So someone provided this information into the contact form, and we want to see if there is any personal identifiable information in this form. So again, I'm calling Comprehend client, and it says, okay, in this piece of text, we have a person name, we have social security number, then we have credit card number and bank account number. So again, like Comprehend can differentiate that this specific number is a credit card number, and this number looks like it's bank account number. And there is an address. And again, it's up to us as developers how we proceed with this information. So probably if the contact form has credit card information, probably we need to route this information to, I don't know, fraud department in our organization, or it could be in other examples. And the last example I want to show is how Comprehend can detect the language of a text. So I have this information about AWS Lambda, it's in French, and what Comprehend can do, it can detect the language of this text. And again, what Comprehend says that the dominant language is French. Let's look at the code. So I have this post languages method. I'm constructing the request, detect dominant language request. The only parameter I pass is the text, which I want to analyze. Then I call the detect dominant language method on a Comprehend client and get so I will get list of languages in response because text can contain multiple languages. But what I'm interested in is in dominant language. So I'm getting the first one from a list, and I'm just displaying it back to the user. So you see like how easy it is to interact with AWS AI services using .NET SDK. Over to you, Prashad.
Thanks. So yes, it's like 4 steps that we saw and few lines of codes, and you'll be able to integrate intelligence into your application. Now, Amazon Comprehend is an NLP tool, natural language processing tool, and there are a number of NLP tools available in the market. But even with the open source NLP tools, there is a cost, and the cost is the experience that the developers need with machine learning, right? So when you're building your own models or you're using Amazon SageMaker, then you need to have that ML development experience compared to when you are using AI services like Comprehend and using the pre-trained models, you can consume them as it is. Now when we talk about having ML development experience, it contains multiple things. Like it starts with data preparation, and then it's about the models, and for the models you need to select them, tune them, train them, and you also need to know how to deploy, monitor, manage those models. But when you are using AI services, you do not need to have all that experience, all that is extracted, and you can use the ready intelligence on your own. And finally, even when you are using these AI services, there is an easy to use API, as we have seen, that can be easily integrated. But if you are building models on your own, then you have to build that API on top of it so that you will be able to consume them in the applications. So we have seen that there are multiple functionalities that Comprehend provides, and we have seen that through the demo also. But there is one other functionality that I would like to talk about, and that is sentiment detection. Now, whatever product or services you are offering to the market, you would always like to know the feedback about it, that how the product is doing, how positive or negative the feedback is. So if you can collect all the data from various channels like your social media feed or your contact call center data like call transcripts or emails about the product and feed it to Comprehend, Comprehend will be able to tell how the reviews are, and not about the entire product, but each and every aspect of the product, that which aspects of the products are doing good and which aspects are not doing good, so that you can focus on what to improve. So to give an example that we see on the screen, the burger was delicious, but it was soggy. When we feed this sentence to comprehend, it is able to detect that the overall sentiment is mixed because one aspect has a positive review, other aspect has a negative review. It is also able to group the entities. It can identify that burger and it is about the same entity, and one of them has positive, other is negative, so it's overall a mixed review. So all of that is done automatically for you by the pre-trained models. Giving another example, the tacos were delicious and the staff was friendly. And when we feed this through comprehend, it is able to detect that the overall confidence is positive. And there are two distinct entities here, the staff and the dish itself, which is tacos. And the reviews are positive for both. So now with these different kinds of functionalities that comprehend provides, it is up to us as developers and builders how we can use them to solve real life problems. With that, let's move on to the next AI service that we will look into today. That is Amazon Translate. Amazon Translate is a neural machine translation service that provides fast, high quality, affordable, and customizable language translation. It uses deep machine learning models. And using deep machine learning models, it is able to provide more fluent and complete sentences compared to the rule-based or statistical-based algorithms. Deep machine learning models are in fact leaps ahead in terms of its current capability and the future potential. In fact, we are measuring today a 85% human parity when it comes to language translation quality. Now there are three main pillars which are required for any organization to become truly and fully global: content localization, multilingual communication, and text and media analysis. And Amazon Translate helps you with all three of them. With Amazon Translate, you are able to localize the content of your websites and applications for the diverse users that you have across the globe. You are able to efficiently enable cross-lingual communication between the users on the platform. And you can translate the text from multiple languages, the vast amount of text that is generated, to a common language, English, so that you can analyze it. So your organizations are better suited to serve the global audience that they have across multiple geographies. With that, let's look into a demo. Alex.
Yes, and what we're going to do now, we will add this translation functionality to our application from scratch. So we already saw how comprehend can detect the language of a text. Now we'll add additional step to translate the text into English. So, as I said, first thing you need to do is to add a NuGet package. So let me add the package for AWS SDK Translate. So there is SDK Translate package. I will install it. Okay, the package is installed. So next I need to register this service in my DI container. I will just copy paste this line of code and just add in Amazon Translate. Okay, next I need to inject it into my web form. So let me quickly do it. And let me introduce the private property. Okay, so now I have my instance of Translate client. Now I can start using it. So first we need to create a request. Translate text request. And I need to provide few parameters. So first it's the text which I want to translate. And this is the text which we have on the form. Then I need to provide source language, so from what language I'm translating. And this is the language which was detected by comprehend. And then I need to provide the target language. And we want to translate it into English. Okay, so we compose the request. Now we need to call the service operation to get the response back. So this is a synchronous method.
So you see it's the same 4 steps.
Translate text async, yeah. Providing request, okay, now I get the response, and what I need to do, I need to display this response to the user. And you see I get all the help from my development environment, from IntelliSense, so it's very convenient to use SDK. And I'm just displaying the translated text. Okay, let's see if it works. So I have another piece of text about Amazon EC2, and now it's in Portuguese. I'm calling the same method. And now comprehend has detected that this language is in Portuguese, and when Amazon translated this text from Portuguese into English. And if you take a look at this text, you will see that it's very naturally sounding. So you cannot say that this is the machine translated text. So it's quite a normal English paragraph without any problems, which you can see when you do statistical based translation. Okay, over to you, Prashad.
Thanks, Alex. So yeah, we have seen that how easy it is to add intelligence into your applications. Now we'll talk about the next service, Amazon Textract. Now Amazon Textract is a machine learning service that helps you to extract text, handwriting, data from your scanned documents. So it provides an industry-leading OCR, optical character recognition, and it goes beyond it when it comes to extracting data from the tables and the forms, and more on that in a minute. So when it comes to dense text documents, like for example your legal documents, right? Amazon Textract is able to provide the industry-leading OCR. It returns the data in 3 hierarchies: page, line, and word, with a visual bounding box and confidence score. The bounding box provides a visual aid for your post-processing. And your confidence score can help you to take some decisions, for example, involving a human for manual review if the confidence score is too low. But where Textract goes beyond the OCR is when it extracts data from the tables. It is able to preserve the relationship in the data that is extracted from the forms and tables, so that you can make sense of this data without involving any human. And Alex will show in the demo how easy it is to query the data from these extracted forms and tables. Similarly, in the forms, right? The data is extracted in key value pairs, so that you can easily query it as well as save it in database and provide it to the downstream systems so that they can easily consume it. So these are really helpful in scenarios. Let's say, for example, you have medical records or financial reports where the data is structured in a table format. Your first row has column names and the subsequent row has the data. This really comes in handy. And let's have a look through the demo. But before that, there is another example, which is identity documents. Now, there is a specific API, analyze ID, which has been trained on different identity documents, such as your passports, state IDs, driving license. Now, OCR finds it difficult to extract data accurately from it because of the varying formats of these IDs. But Textract uses machine learning to identify the type of the document and then accurately extracts the data such as date of birth, date of expiry, name, address, all of the required information in real time. So let's have a look at the demo. Alex.
Yes, let's switch to demo again. And I will show the demo first, and then I will show how the code looks like.
And this is by far my favorite demo, and you will look into why.
Yeah, so imagine that you are building expense reporting system. So this is the system where users submit the receipts, they also submit the amount which they want to claim back, and then the system needs to compare, okay, is the amount which user is claiming is the same that is on the receipt. And imagine you build this system manually by hand. But in Textract there is a method called analyze expense, which does exactly what you want to do. Analyzes the receipts and provides the information from these receipts. So I have a receipt which I made a few months ago. I will just upload it, and let's see what what kind of information Textract can provide. So this is standard receipt from barbecue. There is like information about the place, address, email, phone number, and list of line items. And on the right, what you see is the all information extracted by the Textract. So first these are the summary fields, like address as a full, then address split it into city, street, state, zip code. Then there is a name of a place. Then, okay, how much tips I left, what is the total, what is the subtotal, what is the text, what is the information about the vendor, and then we have all the list items with the prices. So again, like imagine that you create this kind of application yourself. We need to train the model on different kind of receipts, how to parse them, but let's look at the code. So first, I'm just saving the file, so this code is not that relevant for the demo. I'm just saving the file to display it back. But what we do here, we just compose the request, and we have analyze expense request type. And the only parameter I need to provide is the document which I want to analyze, and I'm providing it as a memory stream. Then Textract client, it has a method called analyze expense. So I'm getting a response back, and there could be multiple documents, but in my case it's only one document. So first I'm iterating through the summary fields, and I'm just displaying all the summary fields which are detected automatically, like total, tax, vendor name, vendor email, and so on. And then also each document has line items which are organized into line item groups. So I'm just flattening this list and displaying all the line items on this receipt. So again, like with only a few lines of code, you can develop this kind of functionality to analyze the expense receipts. Okay, and Prashad already mentioned the feature of Textract called Textract Queries. So what it is, it's a pre-trained out-of-the-box AI feature of Textract, which was trained on a large number of structured, semi-structured, unstructured documents which are commonly used in financial verticals, like pay slips, loan applications, and so on. So what you can do with Textract Queries is that you don't need to know the structure of a document. You don't need to know, because you can extract like information using forms and tables from Textract, but you need to do it like manually. With Textract Query, you just provide your question in a plain English text, and you get the response back. So for example, there is a pay slip, and you can ask a question, okay, what is year-to-date gross salary? And you get the response back, this specific amount. Okay, like what is the employee social security number? And you get the response back. Also, Textract Queries, they can understand the context from implied and nested fields to provide you the answers. So again, if you look at this example, it's a sample loan application form. And on loan application form, you have information about borrower and co-borrower. And in this example, there is a date of birth for borrower and for co-borrower. Again, Textract Queries, they understand the context. So if you ask the question, okay, what is the co-borrower date of birth? It will provide me the date of birth from co-borrower. And another example is, can you switch? Yeah, so for example, you have this vaccination form. And again, Textract query can understand the relationship in the form from a table and provide you the answer. So we have form with like rows, with columns, but I don't need to parse this form myself. I can just ask the questions. Okay, what is the date for first dose of COVID? What is the date of second dose of COVID? And I remember when I was traveling to US a few months back, I need to submit the COVID form to the airline company. And it took like 24 hours for them to respond back. So it looks like it was like a manual process, but I know using the Textract, it can be automated and should take seconds instead of hours to process. So let me show the demo. And again, I will show the demo first, and then I will walk through the code. So let me copy some sample question. So I have sample loan application form. And I'm just asking the simple question, what is the co-borrower's social security number? So I submit the query. And I get the answer back, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, with confidence 97%. So this was the form which I was submitted. And actually, this is where the Textract query get the answer from. So there is a borrower information. So on the left, there is a borrower. On the right, there is a co-borrower. And this is the social security number, which was returned by Textract query. Also, please note that here on the form, it says social security number. But the question I asked was, what is the co-borrower SSN? So again, like Textract query knows that SSN is an abbreviation for social security number. So if I change this form again and ask what is the, for example, borrower name, then again, then it should pick the name from the left column because I'm asking what is the borrower name, not the co-borrower. And again, so this is the answer which query gave me, and this is where it took it from. And also this red rectangle is something which I am drawing. So Textract not only provides me with an answer, but also it provides me with visual clues where this answer was taken from. So I can check that maybe if it's correct or not. And another example, I want to show how Textract query works with payslips. So again, I have a sample payslip. And I want to check what is the social security tax year to date. So this is my payslip, and this is what was returned. So you see there is a row for social security tax, and then there is a column for year to date, but these actually belongs to like a bit different tables. But still, Textract query can understand, okay, this is the answer to my question. So what is the social security tax year to date? And this is the answer. But again, like I can write not year to date. I can just say YTD. And again, like Textract knows that it's what YTD means. So let's submit the query. Yes, you get same response back. Okay, let's look how the code looks like. So I have my I have a different form. So this is the query. So, and it's exactly the same coding pattern. First, I compose the request, and I'm composing request of type analyze document request. I'm providing the document. Then I'm saying that I want to use queries feature, and I'm providing the list of queries, list of questions which I want to ask. And in my case, I'm asking only one question, but you can ask multiple questions in the same request. And I'm just providing the text of my question. I get the response back, and I call the analyze document method, get the response back, and from this response, I get like all the blocks of a form, but I'm only interested in the query result. And also, I'm not only getting the text as an answer to my question, confidence, but also I'm getting the geometry and bounding box of this text. So again, like in my case, I'm just highlighting it on the form to display, but you can validate that the result was correct, for example. Okay, that's it for this demo. Over to you, Prashad, again.
Yep. Isn't that a cool functionality? Like, think about the use cases that can be implemented with that. And you don't need to extract and parse yourself. Just ask the questions, and it will be able to tell you accurately the answers of those questions. With that, we'll move on to the next, which is the last AI service that we'll be looking into today, Amazon Rekognition. It's an image and video analysis service. It provides pre-trained machine learning models and configurable computer vision capabilities for you to extract information and insights from your images and videos. Now, as you can see on the screen, Amazon Rekognition provides a wide variety of features that can be used for various kinds of use cases. And it makes it very easy for you to use. You need to provide your image or video to the Amazon Rekognition API, and it is able to actually identify the objects, activities, scenes, text from the image and the video. It is also able to identify any inappropriate content so that you can do content moderation. It delivers highly accurate facial recognition and analysis, even in a live stream video, so that you are able to implement use cases like people cataloging, people counting, celebrity recognition, user safety, user identification, public safety use cases. And one example that we all will be able to relate to is virtual proctoring. Mainly because during the pandemic, we all have been giving certifications online, and there has been virtual proctoring happening. And there are two main functionalities that a virtual proctoring should be doing. First, ensuring that the person who has submitted the ID documents is the person who is in the screen giving the test. That is the user identification and verification. That is Amazon Rekognition can do easily. The second functionality is ensuring that there is no cheating happening. That means there is no foreign object. There is no another person in the screen, or there is no book, mobile phone, smartwatches, paper, pen, so on and so forth. Amazon Rekognition is able to do even that. So you can automate the full virtual proctoring using Amazon Rekognition. And Alex will show a demo on that.
Yes, let's switch to the demo. So, again, imagine the use case that I registered for exam, I provided my ID, and then we need to validate that the person who is actually taking exam is the same person whose ID was provided. So I have my ID card, and I have like one of the frames which I took from my camera. So I'm calling the Compare Faces API, and you see like this is my driving license. It's not the best quality picture, and this is my selfie. But what Rekognition can tell me that this is the same person with a confidence 99.96%. So okay, this is the person who is taking the exam, so access is granted. Imagine that I'm not comfortable taking exam, so Prashad came to it. And I'm
sneaking in and giving the exam for Alex.
And I have a very nice picture of Prashad, which he asked me to retake again multiple times, but yeah.
Yeah, he was trying to make it a bad angle while taking the photo.
Yeah, but okay, it says that no matching face is found, so okay, access is not granted. We can have like even more complicated case. So we have a group selfie of me and Prashad. So Let's see. And again, so there are two persons, but Rekognition says, okay, there is like one matching face on this photo with a confidence again over 99%, and the second one is not. Also, what Rekognition can do, it can detect the personal protective equipment. And it's not only like face masks, but imagine, warehouse workers, you need to verify that they are wearing, helmets or gloves or something like this. So I have a nice picture of my family. It was like a year ago at the airport. And let's see if we were compliant with airport rules. Yeah, so we're like again, what Rekognition detected, that there are 4 persons on this picture, and all of these persons, they have face cover on. And again, it's not only detects face masks, it can detect helmets, gloves, and like other protective equipment. Also, what we can do, we can see if identity check works on this kind of photo when the face is covered. And this is where I was very impressed. Again, I'm uploading my driving license, and I'm uploading the photo of my family. And again, what this identity check does, it says that, okay, this person, even I am wearing a face mask, still it's the same person who is on the driving license with a confidence over 99%. So you see like how powerful is this feature of Rekognition is. And maybe I will show one more demo. This is how Textract can, how Rekognition can detect text from, street signs or labels. So in this example, I have a label of a beer tap. And you see it's a lot of like weird fonts. There is a text like established 1719, which you can barely read. And these are the groups of texts which are automatically detected by the comprehend, like 1719, established, and so on and so on. So again, this could be quite powerful to detect, road signs or shop names, etc., which is not structured text like Textract XPX, for example. Okay, so that's all.
Do you want to show the photo of your dog?
Yeah, very nice. Okay, also what Rekognition can do, it can detect objects on a photo. So again, I have a very nice photo of my lazy dog. And let's see what kind of entities will be detected by Rekognition. And again, so it detects that, okay, there is a couch, furniture, there is a dog with a confidence, 98%, and there is some electronics, some home decor, and there's also it's detected that it's golden retriever. Not that high confidence, but still, most probably it's golden retriever, whom he is. Okay, so that's all with the demos. Over to you, Prashad.
Cool, thanks. So that brings us to the last section, a quick recap of what we have seen today. We have seen how easy it is for developers like us, .NET developers, to integrate these ready intelligence into your applications without needing the ML skills. The pre-trained models are there for you to use for various kinds of use cases. Now we have seen the demo of Textract, Translate, Comprehend, and Rekognition. But there are more AI services. If you want to build an intelligent bot, you can use Amazon Lex. If you want text-to-speech or speech-to-text capabilities, you can use Poly or Transcribe. If you want advanced vision capabilities, you can use AWS Panorama. So we do have these individual different services. Now it is up to us as developers how we can use these services to solve real-life problems. And for that, I'll talk about a real-life example of processing mortgage documents. And let me tell you my experience about revamping a remortgage platform for a bank. This was around 4 to 5 years ago when I was working for a bank in the UK. And they had this remortgage platform built as a huge monolithic .NET framework application legacy, with manual steps built at every stage of the mortgage application process. Now, we as consultants were there to modernize that. And sure, we did modernize by splitting the monolith to microservices, streamlining their DevOps pipeline, and automated few of the manual steps. But knowing what I know today, this is how I would solve actually the problem of processing mortgage documents. Now, this blog goes into great detail about how you can implement intelligent document processing using Textract and Comprehend, and along with all the code snippets. And the code snippets in this blog are mainly in Python, but we can see how easy it is through the demos we have seen that we can easily do it in .NET. Diving a bit further, right, into what does intelligent document processing require? It requires you to capture the data of all the different documents that you have that is required for your business, and then classify them so that you can actually put it in the right data pipeline workflow. And that particular data pipeline will be able to extract the relevant information that is required for the specific use case and accordingly enrich it. Then there will be a review and validation step that you can do before providing it to the downstream system for the consumption. Now, all of this can be easily automated using Textract and Comprehend. Now, for mortgage applications, we can go a step further. Mortgage applications does not only need document processing, but also will require user identification to verify the identity of the person who is applying for the mortgage. And we have seen that we can do it easily using Rekognition. What I'm trying to highlight here is that we have seen how these individual services can be used, but it is up to us now as developers and builders to use them in conjunction with each other so that we can solve real-life problems. It is up to us to use them creatively and make our lives easier. With that, I leave you with few resources. All the code snippets that Alex has shown today are available on GitHub. The second is .NET Developer Dojo. It's a workshop for .NET developers who are getting started with AWS. And it takes through a journey of step-by-step. And chapter 7 in it focuses on AI/ML for .NET on AWS. The last two resources are mainly AWS serverless reference architecture. What we have seen today is actually how you can integrate intelligence into your existing applications. But let's say if you're building greenfield application from scratch that should be intelligent, you will be using cloud-first architectures. And that is why we have these two samples with the codes and architecture. First, serverless. The first is text-to-speech assistant, and the second is image recognition. That's all for today from us. Please do fill the survey. It's really important for us to know how we did, and we are here if you have any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.